what we started yesterday, but I'm not alone this morning.
Happy new month, everybody. I am Precious Amayo. Thanks for joining us.
It's a new month.
Yes,
we're in August already.
Yeah.
The year is running faster than we thought. And every year you keep saying, are we already in this month? It's a new month, and I know it's going to be a beautiful month for all of us. Once again, good morning and happy new month. Well, today on this program, we'll go through the newspaper review segment. And from the segment, we move into the substantive, and we want to look at what we did yesterday and give you some update that came up after what we did yesterday on this program. Yesterday, we looked at politics of impeachment in Nigeria, and all of these issues is what we're going to be looking at. Yesterday we got our guests that some of them said, two of them actually said that the kind of politics we play in Nigeria is not the kind of politics they play elsewhere. But we'll treat all of those and look back from where we're coming from, what happened during Nnamdi Azikiwe's time, how he was tactically removed. We'll look back all of those things, the date, and bring what happened also yesterday evening to you. It's going to be very interesting this morning, and we'll go on this break now. When we come back, we want to look at some of the headlines in the papers this morning.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. It's the newspaper review segment, and we want to start with the Nation newspaper this morning. Saraki Ahmed returned to PDP as APC issues query. And the writer says party spokesman Abdullahi to resign. This is saying Okorocha exits won't affect party. But I'll just take just one story in the papers. Senate President Bukola Saraki and Kwara State Governor yesterday defected to the People's Democratic Party. They were widely accepted to leave the ruling party, going by their pronouncements and body language in a recent month. The party spokesman Bolaji Abdullahi, an associate of the Senate President, was said to have agreed to quit the APC following the party's advice. Yes, Precious, looking at the event yesterday, we saw another event, and this preceded from what happened a few days ago where Othom was given a notice, impeachment notice, and what we saw yesterday, the Senate President moving away from the party. It wasn't said a particular party he was moving to. I want that to be clear. But we saw he announced it in his Twitter angle that, hey, I have moved. What is this? What is this saying to you?
Well, I mean, it says, he just says that 2019 is close. I mean, I think that's what it says. We're less than, or just about 200 days close to the 2019 elections. So we're going to see a lot of moves and a lot of strategies going on. He was also under pressure to decide whether he was going to move or not. The APC put him under a lot of pressure as to where are you going. So the senators from your state have defected. We need to know if you're defecting as well. So that pressure was on him. And he finally came out and said, look, he's no longer with the APC. He's spoken out. Now the APC knows where they lie and where he lies as well. He has not said, like you said, he has not said, because a lot of people are reporting that he's moving to the PDP. He has not actually said what party he's moving to when he announced on his Twitter handle yesterday. He didn't say anything about the party, but we're hoping, we're looking forward to him making an announcement of what party he would.
Okay, we also have this in the Punch this morning. EFCC grills Ekweremadu. It's in the papers. We have Benue Assembly Complex shut down. Buhari elected ECOWAS chairman. Here, Shell NNPC in talks over $10 billion Bango contract. And from here, just take this other story. ITTF World Cup excite Aruna Kadri. That's all we can take from the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, now moving on to the Vanguard newspaper. Of course, the major headline is on Saraki leaving the APC. It says, fifth columnist forced us out of APC, says Saraki. The writer says, Senate President defects to PDP, Kwara Governor Ahmed follows. 2 senators, 6 reps, 22 of 23 House of Assembly members follow. As High Commissioner to South Africa, Ibeto resigns job, defects to PDP. Member of Lai Mohammed's APC group charged with certificate forgery. That's all. You find all of that details on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. Still on the front page, power. We will quit if federal government refunds our money. That's coming from the discos. You find details of that on page 8. Just above the nameplate here, Autumn, Buhari won't be part of unconstitutional act, says presidency. Please chase out Benue Assembly workers. Details of that on page 9. Oshodi Apapa gridlock. Ambode's case for revival of other ports. Find details on pages 26 and 27 of the Vanguard newspaper. For the 2019 general election, this is an opinion, 2019 general elections and the question of national unity, the role of education, part 2. That's you find details of that on page 40. And finally, EFCC grills Ekweremadu over local foreign assets. My hands are clean, says Ekweremadu. Details of that on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper, and that's all for the paper.
Well, you took a particular one, and I think we need to get, that's the electricity, the discos saying that
yes.
They must pay back. We must look at what the discos are saying.
That will be on page 8. They say we will quit if federal government refunds our money. And it says, investors in the power sector yesterday requested the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, to urgently convene a meeting of the electricity distribution chain to enable them brainstorm on how to move the sector forward. The investors who met with newsmen in Abuja to state their side of the story in the wobbling and declining state of power supply in the country, however, painted a gloomy picture of disaster waiting to hit the nation's electricity supply system in the nearest future if certain measures were not taken. In fact, the investors said they were now ready to quit if their funds were made available to them by the federal government.
Yeah, but looking at it, we've heard, and we've heard several times, even from the Minister of Power, and still has said that the Minister of Power has always said that the challenge we're having is with disco. I don't know how that arrangement was carried out. I don't know how the partnership was signed. But you could see that the disco is trying to frustrate the effort of even the federal government, and we're looking as though the federal government cannot even say anything concerning it. If they say they should refund their funds, I think the federal government should just refund their funds, and if they're not acting or they're not doing what they should do, they should just get away from the country. We can continue, someone cannot continue to start frustrating us.
You can't put it on the discos alone. I think it's both ways, because when the privatization was done, government still retained a lot of stake in the industry. It's not like it was really privatized fully. Government still has a lot of stake in the, I think about something about around 30% in the electricity, power sector. The thing is, the discos are saying is the Gencos, because they say that, look, we cannot give what we don't have. It's what you supply us. We distribute, because let's not forget that they are also distributors. Of course, they have their issues around meterings and estimated billings, but they are saying, look, what you generate and give us is what we distribute. We cannot distribute what we don't have. So they are also
giving their own end.
Yes, on their own end. So it's a lot of blame
games. But even trading the blames, Nigerians cannot continue to pay. This estimated billings is just something one cannot stand anymore. If you know you cannot cope with our system. It's a business partnership. And I think because we don't even know who wants to take the blame right now, because it's a trend. They just keep both of them battering over these issues. I think Nigerians are fed up. And I think this also boils down to the way we do business, even with ourselves, talk less of international bodies or other partnership. If you are doing business, you need to sit down and look at the rudiments of a business. You need to look at it very well, not just sign monies because you want to make monies from it. No way. Right now, the Nigerians are suffering it every day. Every government come and go. They keep telling us that they are going to fix electricity, but we still have the challenge. So I think if this coast feels they cannot cope with what is on ground, because I remembered when they came on board, the federal government had to help them with monies because they said they don't have enough. And if we're helping you with money and we're still not seeing it, and that's what we're talking about, our politics also in this country. If we're not seeing it, someone is coming to tell us that if I come on board, we'll have electricity, housing is going to be for free, this is going to be for free, and the people are not feeling it. I think we should renegotiate. People do renegotiate businesses. And so we should sit down and look at the drawing board, look at where we're from. Is this paying us after all? Are we going to keep blaming? Are they going to keep blaming each other at the expense of Nigerians? But I do not think so.
But the thing is, if we say this is not working, let's quit this, because we quit NEPA, we quit PACN. Are we also going to quit this? And then where are we going to? This is the problem you have when you don't involve, technocrats and strong stakeholders within the industry in all of this. They've been having meetings, the Ministry of Power, and then this goes over and over again. What we see is the deadlock out of those meetings, or sometimes they agree on something and either parties fail to work with the agreement. They should involve technocrats in the industry in these meetings and figure out a way forward and ensure that both sides keep to the end of the bargain. Yeah,
but what really angered me there was for them, like a threat. If you know we're going to quit if you want to quit. We're not enjoying anything out of this electricity.
They're trying to state their frustration that look, they are not also making money gains. They've not made any profit from this industry for a while. So for them, it's also looking like bad business. So if you refund our money, we're willing to go because we're not making.
If a business is bad, for God's sake, will you be saying refund our money that way? You call for a meeting and said, hey, I can continue. A businessman don't manage with his businesses. They just do it and say, hey, this is not working, they move ahead. We cannot keep, because of their kind of business, the way they handled it, we cannot keep suffering for it. If every year some amount is given for this, it's in the budget, for God's sake, and we're not getting what we're budgeted for. Why are we in business anyway? Why are we in business?
I just think that both government, both the discos should figure out a way out of this, because again, generation is another issue. And then sometimes we generate so much. They tell you that we're generating so much, and you expect, if they tell you that you're generating as much as 6,000 megawatts, and then you're expecting that you're going to have at least some sort of stable power supply, but you don't. You still see that because
if you generate and you don't distribute, there's going to be a problem.
People are saying they don't get as much as we think they get. That what they get is what they distribute.
And I hope that the Minister of Power will also put his mouth in this matter right now, because it's an accusation. If someone is accusing you that you're not doing what you should do, I think you need to talk if you're actually doing it. So we're expecting it maybe during the week. We'll talk more, or next week, on that, and bring people that matters. Maybe the co-distribution people. We'll bring them so that we can, yes, we need to know what the matter is. Nigerians cannot wait to know what the matter is. But moving away from that, I still have similar story on that in the Daily Trust. We're going to take some of the headlines in the Daily Trust, and it says electricity investors declare loss after 5 years. Still saying what we're saying. Here we have here EFCC grills Ekweribadu over alleged conspiracy and draft. Still in the papers, Saraki finally rejoins PDP, and the writer says here he should resign, senators. But from the Kwara State governor, he said, why we dumped APC. If you want to know why they dumped APC, you need to get hold of the Daily Trust. Also in the papers, custom intercepts 4,400 military wares in Owerri. Papa residents to Osibanjo. We are now prisoners in our own homes. I can just imagine the traffic gridlock in that axis. I can just imagine that. We also finally, from the Daily Trust, Buhari elected as ECOWAS chair. get hold of the Daily Trust and you can read more on that.
All right, now moving to the front page of the New Telegraph. Of course, you know what the major headlines will be. APC suffers huge losses. The writer says Senate President, Kwara Governor, Ambassador return to PDP. Tambuwal, 24 Sokoto lawmakers, local government chairman defect today. Saraki, federal government gave 200 positions without allotting any to me. Dogara. Ahmed, I can't achieve Kwara aspirations under APC. Ganduje tells Kano deputy governor to resign. APC queries Saraki. You find details of all of these on pages 4, 5, and 11 of the New Telegraph. Still on the front page, count me out of plots to impeach Otom. That's coming from Buhari. The writer says he won't support any unconstitutional act. Please, DSS, chase away Benue Assembly clerk staff. Details on page 4 of the New Telegraph. Amnesty International, bandits killed 371 people in Zamfara. Target rural communities, demand ransom. Residents were living in fear. You find details on page 8. And in this, it's unfortunate, but it's a bit funny. It says couple, son, girlfriend, steal woman's car, household items. I mean, that's like family corporate stealing.
Oh my goodness. Was a planned one.
It's really, really planned.
Can you imagine
the entire
that?
family that is going on, the robbery. We find details of that story on page 9. And finally, stock market post 1.6 trillion naira loss in 4 months as political anxiety takes toll on equities. Definitely, you find details of that on page 6 of the New Telegraph.
That usually happens when you have elections around the corner. You see people trying not to use their monies even in business, not to invest, and they want to keep it and see how it turns. Who is going to sit on that seat? How will the policy be for the economy? And all of that, you see that happens, and so people try to withhold their money, keep it somewhere and watch the scene before they invest. So that's all we can take from this segment. And up next, we want to look at the part 2 of where we started yesterday, politics of impeachment in Nigeria, and also giving an update of what is happening right now. We'll go on this break. When we come back, we have our guest in the studios. Welcome back. Well, this topic we started yesterday is a part 2 of it. We're looking at politics of impeachment in Nigeria. Well, if you look down memory lane, it's not the first time this is happening. But the drama keeps going on and on and on again. But we're going to look at other things that had come up after yesterday through all of this happening in the country. But we have some guests in the studios. We have Dr. Sita Chukwu, a politician and also a maritime practitioner. Good morning to you, Dr. Chukwu. Morning, yeah. And we have Engineer Martins Onovo, a politician and an engineer. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, let me start with Engineer Onovo. It is not strange to you, it's not new what is happening in the country right now because you've contested before. But looking at the impeachment saga with the girl of impeachment recently, the notice, it wasn't actually the Benue State governor was not impeached, but was served notice and people sat. And some people have said that sitting was a kangaroo sitting. Was that a kangaroo sitting?
Oh, clearly. The first thing is that impeachment is a legitimate constitutional process. And the Constitution defines that process. So that I don't like your face doesn't mean that you have been impeached. There is a process to impeaching an elected public official. What happened in Benue is very unfortunate. We have had impunity in the country for the last 3 years. And this is what happens when a deviation is not checked. If you don't check a deviation, it gets worse. That 8 people will sit together with a fake speaker. Fake speaker. Because the Benue State House of Assembly has a speaker. And the speaker is known. And he has been presiding. Now 3 of us, doctor, yourself and myself, we gang up. And we say you are the speaker. And we say we have impeached somebody. That is ridiculous. What are we doing? So, you have 30 people in the Benue State House of Assembly, 30 legislators. You need 2/3 to initiate an impeachment process. You are going to need a minimum of 20. Now, 8 people gather together with a fake speaker, no clerk, no mace, and then say they have initiated an impeachment process. Thanks goodness, whether rightly or wrongly, or deceitfully, the presidency has denied that it is in support of that. But why did people in the first place accuse the presidency? They had the backing of the police. And the commissioner of police said he was implementing orders from above. Typically, that is from the IG. And the IG has a boss. The commander-in-chief of the armed forces is also the commander-in-chief of the police. So if you are commanding the police, and under your command of the police, it has been rated the worst police force in the world, and it goes around with this level of brigandage, and you don't even call the police to order or discipline the officers responsible, that is complicity. Okay. And that is why people were accusing the presidency of being involved. And this was the same police where a middle level officer called a sitting elected governor a drowning man. That is a military mentality.
Okay, I'm going to ask same questions to Chief. Chief, what's your reaction when you had this incident?
Thank you so much. Just like my friend likely said, I have seen the country leadership as a doom. And why I made this statement is that previously, while I was here, I've been making such statements. What do you get from a man the moment he's above 50 years and he cannot say the truth or cannot even implement any truthful process? Why am I saying this? APC came with deceitful agenda. Only those who were very sure of themselves and their conscience that could not jump into that ocean of APC. Today, where are we? The worst leadership, the worst system of obedience to the rule of law is what I'm getting in this dispensation. And this dispensation has already shown clearly to the whole world, not only Nigeria, that we did not come to work. We did not come to do any change, but rather we came to agitate and retaliate to who? To your own citizen. This kangarooic city is a show of shame to its leadership. There's no way and no two about it. I will still say it. They don't have anything to offer this country.
Okay, Engineer Onovo, with what happened, after which we now saw that he'd already left the party because of this, and people begin to wonder, can't you fight this battle or fight what is happening without defecting away from it? If you've been served a notice and it was wrong, can't you just continue, you know, to press on? Because before the notice, they had issues. You know, he saw it coming, he had been complaining that they had been killing in his land and they're not helping out and all of that. Some other people were expecting him to stay put in the party and make sure that things work for him.
Well, the first thing is that we must be careful not to impose personal subjective standards on others, because democracy is about freedoms. Any politician in Nigeria has the right to go to any party of his choice at any time. That is a constitutionally guaranteed right. General Buhari himself was a member of the AMPP. He left and went to CPC. That is General Buhari's right. If General Buhari wants to come to NCP tomorrow, it is his constitutional right. I think that, with due respect to the governor, he had exploited the internal mechanisms of his party, because he didn't move at the first instance. And I'm sure you are aware of the protest that youths had in Benue State, insisting that they could no longer continue to support him if he remains in the ruling party. And I think it's very clear. Let us look at the indices, because sometimes when we talk, people say it is because they're in opposition. Oh yes, it is because they're in opposition. But the facts don't change whether I am with the ruling party or whether I'm in opposition. And a lot of these things, because we didn't manage them early, are becoming international. For example, the ineffectiveness, incompetence, and abuse of police authority in Nigeria. It has led to the international ranking of the Nigerian police as the worst police in the world, in the whole world. We should be ashamed as a people. I am ashamed, if other people are not ashamed, that my country has the worst police in the whole world. That's an index for disorder. Now, if you say that may be an exception, I will disagree with you. Because we're having almost exactly the same situation in every other sector. So, leadership is very critical. And you cannot attain leadership in a democracy, especially in the Nigerian constitutional democracy, without political parties. Because our constitution says that candidates for elective offices must be sponsored by political parties. So if you are not sponsored by a political party, you cannot attain leadership. Now, if a political party has become degenerate, leading to the kind of unprecedented, let me borrow the word of Barrister Femi Aborishade, unprecedented national debt, unprecedented. Worst police in the whole world, unprecedented. Lowest value of the naira, unprecedented, official value. The level of terrorism and insecurity, unprecedented. And you say people should stay in the same party after they have explored the internal mechanisms to correct the situation and they are not able. The right thing to do, patriotic-wise, is to leave that party. And you know that as of today now, there are 68 parties in the country.
Okay, still talking about impeachment and the rest. We saw what happened in Imo State, where the new deputy governor wanted to be elected, wanted to swear in. The inauguration was ongoing when they were stopped by the court, you know, saying it's still in court. You cannot go ahead to inaugurate a new deputy governor. What's your take? It's
very simple. You know, you remember that I said that impeachment is a legitimate constitutional process. And the Constitution specifies the process. In Imo, they appear to have a two-third. But to have a two-third is not sufficient. When you have a two-third, you give a notice of impeachment and you list the offenses, the violations. Now, the chief judge is supposed to set up a panel to investigate and confirm. If he investigates and confirms, if the panel investigates and confirms, and the chief judge returns the report to you, now you sit and you pass the impeachment. It's very simple. Now, because they're in a hurry, even though they have a majority, the first thing that was a court injunction restraining them. If you remove the rule of law, what you have is jungle. The media must defend the rule of law. The standard for human, social, political, economic, and all interactions is law. And the rule of law is the primary pillar of democracy. Because if you have an authoritarian state, maybe an empire, whatever the emperor decrees is the law. But in a democracy, you don't have an emperor. The people are sovereign. And the legislature represents those people. You have your two-thirds. That is not sufficient. You must still comply with the Constitution. So the indictment must also stick. If you have a two-thirds and the indictment does not stick, you cannot impeach according to our Constitution. Okay, Dr. Chukwu, we're looking at what he has said also. We saw where if you say you're not happy with a party, you might have issues with Nigerian government. Should this be so? And how did we manage to find ourselves in this kind of situation?
In fact, what I should say in that one is that not doing things right brought about political prostitute. Not doing things right brought about the agenda of political prostitute. You jump from this party to the other party and jump from this party to the other party. So I'm looking at for the years the APC government have held this country, there's no truth again to be said, because if you say it, you'll be held siege. No truth, no matter how, no matter the kind of where you are placed. Now, my brother said it all. There are indications that I don't want this man. Please help me to impeach him. It's clear. It's not even that he has done something that will warrant impeachment. Or even if he has done, the legal definitions are there.
What are the implications?
The implication is that Nigeria has come a stage that will continue to have acrimony. They will continue to have what we call disobedience to a law as a result of Mr. A has done this and nothing was done to him, and Mr. B has done this and this is how it goes. All those are abracadabra in Nigeria working today. It's as a result of the leadership not coming together and come in one table to discuss how they can now fare their own citizens. Other countries, my citizen first. Here in Nigeria, no way. Okay,
I'll hold you on there. There's a caller, Dr. Williams. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my lady.
Good morning to you. Yes, go ahead.
We are in this era of dictatorship, not democracy. You will recall that in the early part of this administration, I once told you that this change that we have was a negative change. You said, go ahead, it's just your portion. And I said I was not talking to you. And you can now see that you now have somebody who is said to be a man of integrity, who said we have a change. And right now what we have? You now have a president that will go and use $496 million to buy Tucano without due process. You now have a president who, about 6 courts, has said, release Dasuki on bail, and he has refused. Look at the situation. Whether in Benue, the federal government has the place to go and protect 8 out of 30 to start the impeachment processes of the governor. Look at what is happening in Imo. For God's sake, where are we going? On the Israel Gospel, there was one astrologer report. He said next year there will be still crisis. And with what we have seen, the way this administration is running this government, I'm afraid. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so
you.
much for your contributions. Dr. We're discussing impeachment and this kind of politics in Nigeria because it didn't just start today. If you look at during Nnamdi Azikiwe's time, he was denied with some set of people, that's the NCNC, and that's in 1951. Where he was denied also, people ganged against him, you know. It's not new to Nigerian politics, but we want to look at the implication right now to our economy, to our day-to-day living. Is this really healthy?
The implication is just that Nigerian citizens fail to come together. Hatred, religions, political power, sit tight. They are not releasing. Sit tight, government. When will you allow your son to inherit your legacy? Is it when the legacy goes into drain before your son can inherit your legacy? How do you teach your son and daughters to go after or to live after you must have left? We are hungry in Nigeria. We are just enemy to ourselves. In fact, let me say it categorically again today.
Okay,
go and watch. This government is worse than dictatorship.
I'll come back to you. I'm going to come back to you. Abodumake. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Can you hear?
Good morning.
Yes. We're looking at the politics of impeachment in Nigeria with what is happening in the country. You remember that the Benue governor also was served a notice, and we have the deputy Imo State governor was impeached. In fact, the new one was supposed to be inaugurated yesterday that was stopped by the court. We also have the Kano speaker impeached. Looking at impeachment in Nigeria, what's your take?
Well, when it's a desperate political season where the movements are out and those who cannot engage the democratic process to resolve political differences are employing high measures, and it is quite shameful. Yeah, I mean, look at what happened in Imo State. That's why the court ordered the impeachment of the court order was rushed through. Well, in Kano, the speaker was impeached, and we saw the court celebrating moments after. The worst of them, the most abusive of the democratic process, and a throwback to the era of dictatorship was the one in Benue, where 7 out of 30 assembly members were guided, were protected by the police. I read this morning that the government is saying that the police took to say that they had been something above to use 7 members to suspend 22 and serve impeachment notice of the government. That is the legislative rascality of the highest order, power manipulation of the highest level of government in the country, and which is putting our democracy under stress. Yes, at one point we could put on this sense of, oh, we don't care, we are not bothered. At the same time, you are employed desperate measures which shows you are panicking, you are in panic mode. And I think that people are very careful. Because all the things they are doing now, they pose a great threat to law and order, to peace, and the democratic process in Nigeria. If, we look over to the democracy that the National Executive Committee of the APC saying that they have dissolved the Equal Charter in the TV and they have appointed the Charter Committee. The blood temperature of the country that country is rising, and this is not healthy for our democracy.
Are you saying this because you are from Afenifere? Is that why you're saying this?
Hello?
Are you saying this because you are from Afenifere group? Is that why you're saying this?
Well, I assume the question of Afenifere. We believe in democratic process of government. People can have disagreements. If a governor, for instance, has infringed the law, and they go through the democratic process and impeaches the governor, we have no problem with it.
That's it.
If assembly members are suspended, placed on the rule of engagement, we have no problem with it. But when people begin to change the democratic process, when they begin to use military tactics, when they begin to violate the basic democratic principles and norms to short-circuit that, to engage in self-help, we are against that. We are against impunity. And what's going on here now is impunity of the higher administrative order.
Okay.
That's why we are against this.
Okay, I want to thank you, Kaudumaki. If you're back to Lagos, we'll have you live on set. Thank you for calling on the program. But listening to him, Engineer Martin Sinobu, is looking as though people are not happy. Are they saying that this government has not even done anything well?
Well, it depends. First, let me comment about what Mr. Odumake has said. I've known him before now. He's a very brilliant compatriot, and he maintains a column. So his positions are public and they are well known. Everything he has said here, whether Afenifere or not, every patriot, what he has said is what the law says. So what he makes him is a great patriot. And Afenifere has proudly and publicly published their positions so that it can be reviewed. And the position of Afenifere has stood the test of time over the years. So if we are talking about those who have contributed significantly to national development, we must commend Afenifere. Now, about this government, the government has 3 priorities. 3. According to them, not according to me. Anti-corruption, security, and the economy. Anti-corruption is a catastrophic failure. Do you want details? The biggest contract scam ever since 1914 is the $25 billion NNPC contract scam. There has been nothing of that magnitude. Convert it, it's almost 9 trillion. Trillion, not billion, trillion. Now, Transparency International is not an opposition party. It's a global anti-corruption agency. And it says that corruption is worse in Nigeria. We were 136th before. Now we are 148. Now, this government has spent over 20 trillion since it came to power. I challenge you, Vera, as a journalist. Show me 100 kilometers of road. Show me 1 power station. Show me 1 refinery. In my opinion, and in the opinion of a majority of ethical compatriots, this is the most corrupt government in the history of Africa, not Nigeria. That's one on anti-corruption. Let us move on to security. We have never been this insecure. Boko Haram was completely decimated and pushed back to Sambisa. Right now, Boko Haram is all over the place, both as Boko Haram and as herdsmen, including in Enugu. They just killed somebody in Edo. This is a Sambisa matter that was confined to Borno State before this government came to power. Now, if you count on human fatalities, which is the global index for insecurity and safety, more people have been killed per unit of time under this government than under the previous government. So the government has failed catastrophically in anti-corruption because it is the most corrupt government ever. It has failed catastrophically on security. Then on the economy, that one is obvious.
Okay, but you said 3, and the
yes,
first one you said
the economic I want to talk about.
Corrupt, but
yes.
some people will disagree with you, saying they've exposed corrupt leaders.
No, what's the index?
Never before in this country.
What is the index?
I
You
just
use
want
an
to correct
index.
that.
Excuse me. Use an index. Hold on. I now quoted Transparency International. Quote your own authority.
Yes.
Now, I've also quoted the NNPC contract scam. Quote your own. Because I like a doctor. Anything doctor says, no matter how erroneous it is, I will say it is correct because I like doctor. Let us give the indices. Let us be scientific.
Okay, you also talked about...
I wanted to talk about the economy.
No, you come back to
yes.
the economy so that we just, people, because of time. You also talked about the security.
Yes.
Some people will also tell you, when they call on television, they will tell you, Mister, we saw what Boko Haram did.
Oh, yes.
But we also saw what the security agencies did with Boko Haram.
Okay. So, what is it worse today? Or was it worse in 2015? That's what I'm saying. And I think it's clear because the indices show more people have been killed. Now, geographical spread-wise, it is worse. Nobody can doubt that. People have been killed in Delta. People have been killed in Edo. People have been killed in Enugu.
You have economy to talk about as well.
Yes.
So can we hear that?
It is, insecurity has spread wider. As I'm talking to you, the police authority in Nigeria admits that the Abuja-Kaduna highway is a criminal zone. It is controlled by criminals, kidnappers and armed robbers. Now, if you're talking about the economy, it has never happened in this country that in a span of 3 years, 9 million people have lost their jobs. In fact, all you need, that's why when I was interviewed, how will you defeat Buhari if you are running against him? I said all I need to do is to get the 9 million people who lost their jobs to vote against him. That's all. You win the election. It has never happened in the history of the country that 9 million people lost jobs according to government data. If you ask me opposition data, I will tell you it's 12 million, and we have our own data. But let us use government data so that there's no quarrel about is the data correct or not. 9 million people have lost their jobs in less than 3 years. We were buying what you call the painter of Gary. We were buying it for 250 naira. Now it's 800 naira.
450 exactly, precisely.
450.
So we were buying it for 450.
No,
I was buying for 250. I don't know where you buy.
250.
I was buying for 250. No, I was buying for 250.
Before I go to market regularly, almost every day.
No, it depends on which market.
Before the former administration left.
No, it depends on the market you go to.
But right now, it's high.
No, it depends on the market you go to. Okay. Use another.
It depends on the season.
Yes, and it also depends on the season. Because tomato goes from even 14,000 to 8,000.
Christmas is not what they sell on
it was more than 250. We
were buying for 250. You were buying for 450. I was buying for 250. We were buying for 250.
I think you need to tell me that market.
Yes, in fact, I will tell you.
Okay, but there's a caller here. We'll come back to that. Hey, good morning to you.
Good morning, brother, and good morning to the two gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Please, I have one question to ask your guest with the wife.
Okay. Engineer Martin Zonogo.
What I want to talk about is that when Jonathan was in power, British Boko Haram was pushed to the wall. The current president wrote a letter to ICC that the government of Jonathan is killing his people in the name of Boko Haram. And then please, I do not know a continuation of that matter. And then please, whether he knows about it and when he talks, can he enlighten me? And secondly, the Boko Haram now, they are spread to everywhere in Nigeria. Everywhere. Please, if there's a way to help us, please do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, about his comment about the statement, the statement was just made and it was reported. I'm not aware that there is any institutional investigation about it. I know that certain families got a Dutch professor of law to report General Buhari to the International Criminal Court. But I'm not sure that the International Criminal Court has even approved that. That's the extent I know about that.
We'll come back. We'll come back to you. We'll go on this break now. And when we come back, Superdawn continues. Please stay with us.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. Well, Engineer Martins Onovu, you talked about the first one, security. You talked also about
anti-corruption. And I was talking about the economy.
Last one, which is the economy.
Those are the priorities the government itself chose for itself. Now, Nigeria is presently the world poverty capital. You have more poor people here using UN standards than anywhere else in the world, including China and India that have populations of over 1 billion. So you can imagine the per capita poverty. The World Poverty Clock has confirmed that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. It was not like this before this government came. I gave you an inflation index. When this government came, total public debt, national public debt, was 12 trillion. Today, it is over 22 trillion.
Okay, are you blaming the government for it?
Oh, definitely.
When we say government, are we not blaming ourselves?
No.
Putting the country in this situation?
No, please.
When we talk about corruption,
please.
Who are we supposed to be looking at?
Please, Vera, I'm not holding public office. I may be a public personality. In management, authority and responsibility go together. And people like you sitting in a TV station were not the people who took away this money. Neither were you the people who borrowed this money. The simple your neighbor lawyer who is going to court this morning was not the one who took away the corruption money. So we are right blaming the government because, one, authority and responsibility go together. Two, the money that is missing is in their custody. It is not in your custody. A doctor in a private clinic or a government doctor in Lut did not take away this money.
Shouldn't we be looking at politicians like you? Shouldn't we be looking at politicians, the electorate? Shouldn't we be asking questions? Why are we this way? Because there are no spirits there. There are people we elected in there. If we are accusing them for not doing the right things, shouldn't we look back and say, we voted for these people. These people are our brothers and sisters. They are not from other countries. They are from this country.
Oh, you're very right, but you just changed the topic. You know why? Let me just one more sentence.
Okay, because we'll go to Dr.
I will tell you categorically, because I have documented evidence, we did not vote for them. And that's why I say you just changed the topic. We did not vote for them. I was a presiding officer in Diobu, Port Harcourt, for the old National Electoral Commission under Humphrey Nwosu for the June 12 elections. So I don't only have experience as a politician, I have experience as an Electoral Commission official.
I'll come back to that. Let's hear from Dr. Chukwu. Dr. Chukwu, we keep saying the government. We at times don't even look at ourselves. Before elections, you saw what happened in Ekiti. Lots of people said that election was not a true one. Something went wrong along the lines. But who do you blame when is the electorate that will cast their vote? We wanted a change, and the change came. Are we not too in a haste to allow them perform?
Anyway, when they come in terms of Ekiti and the general phenomenon regards to the democratical states, you will understand that there are what we call infusion, political infusion, and political alignment. Those people we are talking about, the electorate, some are being held without any reason for that. How can you be doing election? Last point before the election I came here, you went with 30,000 policemen. What are they doing there? The only thing you demonstrated is just to push in fear in the electorate so that they will not come out freely and cast their votes for the people they want. Whether we like it or not, whatever comes around goes around. There's an evidence being shown or being driven by the party in question that they have planned to rig elections. And that Ekiti is a very proper example of what people have already, given out before it happens. I know in the court of law or in the tribunal it will be turned down. But let me remind Nigerians that if you are hungry, don't let your hunger lead you into be more hunger than ever. Because we are voting the people, the right people that are supposed to be. And if you are taking 5 naira or taking 10 naira, that 10 naira you just eat it and it finishes. But vote in those whom you decide to vote that will do something tomorrow for you. That's exactly where we are. So looking at the whole thing that we are trying to do now, we are not getting anything at all from this government. Since inception, since I know I started in my life, the worst government I've ever met is the government of this APC. The worst government I've ever met, even in the whole West African countries. I've never seen. Why? Is it the law they're abiding? No way. Court processes, you disintegrated them. Human rights, there's no way. You understand? Do it, nothing will happen. That is the government of...
Okay, but did you hear when they came in that there was nothing in the treasury?
What is the treasury? Who says so? Who says so?
Please.
Let us not go that side.
Have you seen Luther's list?
Let us not go that side.
List?
Leave the Luther's list.
It's part of it. It's not part of it.
The government that is in question now was looting money. They brought it them in. So what do you want? What do you want us to hear? You want me to tell you? What do you want to hear? When you bring somebody in with corrupt money, what do you expect? Many of them are waiting just because they push him into power. None were tried. And that is why they circumvent that process of corruption fight. Because they don't want to try the major people. They are just reiterating their PDP, the other party. Then, when they are pushing you, then you have to join them. They will approach you first before they start doing whatever they're doing. At times, they brought out a bogus list, an amount that you've stolen. You've done this. Not up to today. President Muhammad Buhari and his accolades and his government has not been able to publish. Use one newspaper, publish it. I can pay. Count the number of the newspaper. Give it to Dr. Chukwu. I'm ready to pay the full newspaper of that day. Let them publish to us all the money collected, what those monies were used for, and who are the perpetrators, including the people in the APC. How many of them have been judged? Okay,
we've seen now, Dr. Tukwu, we've seen where now yesterday, through the Twitter angle of the President's Senate, Bukola Saraki came up to say, I'm no more in this party.
Yeah.
And we're still expecting more from that end. To you, moving away, defecting from his party, that's one in, because he went in through that party and now he's moving away from the party.
Yes. Do
you think this is going to affect 2019 elections of the APC?
Definitely. In fact, I commend Saraki because he went to join what we call a deceitful party. He was in the right track. The only thing is that the PDP has, in one way or the other, were not able to organize themselves very well. As regards to imposition of candidates, that was what to bring them down. Imposition of candidate. The community will be shouting and shouting, this man is a nice man we know. We know him from birth.
But they didn't vote for him.
You will not.
In 2015, we didn't vote for former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2015.
No.
Nigerians needed a change.
Do you know what happened?
I don't know what happened.
During the voting and so on, documentaries of all the whole underage voters were recorded in most of the northern states, even in the western states. Who did that? I blame Senator Tinubu to have allowed himself to be used to bring in a dictator man. Does it mean that all the generals that we have, all will be giving them president till they finish before? Let me tell you, let us go for younger presidents. It will help this country. Obama, how many years he finishes presidency? And
so you are canvassing for the younger president. So
we are done with Buhari's, Abdullahi's, Tinubu's, and so on and so forth. Let them go out. They have sat tight there, and their days are numbered. And all these people that are jumping out have seen the truth before. Okay. They wanted to hook on something so as when the game is over. Because of the problem we have in the Northeast and all over across the countries of the nation of Nigeria, I wish if Saraki knows what he's doing, he would just resign and go with his pride. Let him not go and be put to shame, because what is going to happen to him would be worse than what happens to Goodluck Jonathan. Okay, it depends on the electorate. It's the votes that will count. Yes, we have Daniel. Daniel, good morning to you.
Hey, ma.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm calling from Sule.
Okay.
You see, well, we thank God for everything that is happening now, but it's too late. The reason why I want my two gentle brothers there to understand one thing. The Saraki groups going back to PDP, if we sit down and look at it very well, they are the destroyer of this nation. Because they knew all what they have done from PDP, and then they went to APC just to hold APC not to succeed in their plan. That is one. Now, coming back again, we, the masses, should sit down and think very well. Do we want them back or not? And if they are coming back, sorry, it will be worse. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. But Daniel, he has not said the party he's moving into. He just moved away from the All Progressive Congress, the APC. But he's not announced the party he's moving into yet. But Anija Martin Unovo, we talked about Saraki's movement away from the All Progressive Congress. Will you be surprised if APC wins this coming elections?
In my personal opinion, APC cannot win any free and fair election. I've qualified it. APC can announce itself winner anywhere it likes. But if there is a free and fair election, APC cannot win because the overwhelming majority of Nigerian people have rejected it. And it has failed so catastrophically that there is no Nigerian, except those directly benefiting, who can tell you that their circumstances, economically and security-wise, are better than it was, let's say, in 2014. There is nobody who can honestly say that. I am talking about myself. I'm talking about my friends. I'm talking about my neighbors. I'm talking for those who have gone to commit suicide. I'm talking about the people who call me non-stop from all over the country. These are hardworking people who prior to now could fend for themselves. Now their children go to hospitals, they can no longer pay because of the inflation. And that's why I used Painter of Gary, because that's what everybody uses, so that everybody can understand the level of inflation we have seen. The other day, when my technician went to service my vehicle, he told me that the lubricant was 4,500 naira. I said, no, lubricant is 2,500 naira. He laughed at me. So it's not only Gary. Inflation has gone over 100% if you use basic products in the last 3 years. And that has impoverished people. Don't forget that it's an import-dependent economy. And Naira has lost value. In the history of Nigeria, since we went from the pound to the Naira, Naira has never had such a low value. This is the lowest. So every major economics index you use, macroeconomic index, every, not even one, because you asked me a question before, what have they done right? Now, if you use GDP, it's less. If you use inflation, it is worse. If you use employment, it is worse. You use national debt, it is worse. You use value of Naira, it is worse. So when I say this government has not done anything right, people say that's an overstatement, you are exaggerating. But show us what he has done right. Let me tell you something. Dr. Femi Aribisala, PhD Oxford, is a regular Nigerian columnist. Dr. Chukwu here made a statement that in his life at his age, he has never seen a worse government in the history of the world. He is saying it in 2018. Dr. Femi Aribisala, PhD Oxford, published it in 2016. That this is the worst government in Nigerian history.
But they also said that about former Goodluck Jonathan.
No, nobody said that.
They've said is the worst.
No, they said clueless.
Corruption.
No, they said clueless.
That government finished
No, they
Nigeria.
said clueless.
So it's part of it also.
No, they said clueless. And to come to what Dr. Chu was saying, because I have talked about the government's own priorities. Now let's also talk about the political situation, our democracy. The two pillars of democracy, the rule of law, the integrity of the ballot. The government does not respect the rule of law. The Nigerian constitution is worthless to this government. And that's not a vague statement.
So what do you think we need to do now as a people?
We must restrain this government first.
He talked about a young person coming over. Are we really ready for a young person?
Oh, clearly the country is ready for a young person. But it is which young person?
Exactly.
It's not about who. The country is clear. The overwhelming majority said, let me tell you, in 2019, General Buhari was born in 1942. 2019, General Buhari was 77. He wants a second term to stay in office till 81. Excuse me, sir. Does senility have a meaning in your dictionary? Let me tell you, in the
we're wrapping up. Yes, go ahead.
In the U.S. published psychomotor studies. In the U.S. published psychomotor studies, you start declining at 65. Therefore, any country, then in the modern biology, I have A in WAEC biology, so I can talk. A. In modern biology that we used for WAEC, you start declining at 60. It makes sense that if a man graduates at 22, following school age, serves at 23, gets a job at 25, if he has 20 years experience working, he'll be 45. We should get our political leadership from between 45 and regular retirement age of 55.
Yes.
So that by the time the person gets in at 55, if he's getting at 55, he will come out at 59, and if he does a second term, 63, before he has declined so much. I'm using science. I'm not using personal opinion. This is science.
Okay, in wrapping up, now we're also looking at some states that are not APC states, and looking at it, are we still expecting more impeachment? Are we supposed to be looking at, because we're looking at the impeachment saga going on right now. It's looking as if it's going from one state to the other. Should this administration not look into it? And are you saying that we as a people cannot look into what is happening in the country to begin to prefer solutions to all of this?
We have the solutions. The solutions are very clear. But to answer your question on impeachment, I go back to what Yinka Odumakin said. He's very clear. But let me quote him. He talked about if somebody has been guilty of misconduct, he should be impeached. But in impeaching the person, you follow the constitutional process. That's the way not to create disorder, anarchy, and jungle justice. There's a process. You follow it. Now, if impeachment is a constitutional process, we should not worry about it. What we should worry is, does it conform to the standards set by the Constitution? Have you followed the due process of law? Do you have the 2/3? Those are the critical things.
Okay, moving from Doctor, your last word. We're wrapping up this edition.
Anyway, my last word is, let's keep praying for this country.
Yes.
Because one, we need a divine touch, and we need a divine leadership. And how do those divine leadership can come? Is by we confessing to God that we have really wronged him. We have wronged our Creator, because he provided us almost everything. Some did not even have water. God gave us water in abundance, and nurture it again with that petroleum, that is a crude oil, creating this, giving this what we call the most fertile land in the world. But we are not using it. We're only using it against ourselves. So the insensitivity this government has already put in place, be it they want to do that so as to kill many, and then the leftover, they will just go. How many years now is left for our president? You know, 80-something. If you are going for 80-something, tell me. I saw him working in Togo.
We need to wrap up now.
Working in Togo last time, and they were trying to, they said they gave him a chairman for ECOWAS. I saw how he's working. Let me tell you, let him go and rest.
Okay, I want to thank you, Doctor. We don't have much time. We must wrap up now. I want to thank Dr. Osita Chukwu, a politician and also a maritime practitioner. And also thank you to Engineer Martin Zonovo, a politician. He's been a candidate before in the last elections, and God knows what is going to happen in 2019. Thank you so much for coming on this segment of the program. Well, up next is Superdawn Sports. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Superdawn Sports, and I have Olakunle Phillips. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Vera. It's good to be back here.
It's good to be here. Yeah, the game has started today.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
and we are there live.
Yeah, we're there live. We'll be broadcasting. We'll be talking about it. We'll be getting all the fields there, right there at the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Delta State, Asaba. The guys are actually they are ready to go. They are raring to go. I spoke with them this morning, and of course, there's been a bit of shortcomings as far as the event is concerned. Over 300 athletes are stranded in Lagos as we speak, and the tournament starts today.
Why are they stranded in
It has to do with logistics. The flight to connect down to Delta State isn't available, and the guys from other African countries have to stay back in Lagos. And hopefully before the end of today, we hope that all the athletes will be conveyed down to the venue.
So I know that that's what basically you'll be discussing today on the show.
Absolutely.
But we'll go on this break, and Olakunle will remain. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.